A few students have said they're having trouble getting to grips with Photoshop. At this stage we're using Photoshop as a tool to organize and collate material to build our mock-ups. Let's have a quick look at using Photoshop this way. This is an example of the sort of thing we're trying to do. It's not a sophisticated design but just an illustration of laying elements out using Photoshop. First we create a new document for our mock-up under File, New. The dialog box here is asking for the dimensions of the new document. I'm using 1024 pixels wide by 768 pixels deep at 72 dots per inch. 72 dpi is the standard screen resolution of a monitor. Next, I'm going to save my document and give it a useful name. I have all my materials for the mock-up in a folder, and I'm saving my Photoshop file in there as well. This keeps everything nicely organized. Guides are a useful tool to help organize your elements. Here I'm dragging a guide to find the center of my document. It sticks when it reaches the center, so that makes placement easy. If I drag the ruler junction here, I can center the rule's measurement on my center guide. Then I'll place two guides at 400 pixels either side of the center point. That gives me an 800 pixel wide interface here. You can choose different settings if you want a wider or narrower design. I'm also adding a guide of 50 pixels at the top for my menu bar. Now I'm going to place my first image. I use File Open to open this image I want to use in my mock-up. It opens in its own document. We can see it here. I'm going to use the menu here on the Layers tab to duplicate this image into my mock-up document. There are other ways to do this, but this works for me. I choose the destination document to copy it to, and I give it a meaningful name to help keep track of it in my mock-up. Here is my image duplicated into my mock-up, but it's way too big. I'll use the Edit, Transform, Scale option to resize it. The guides here are really helping me resize this to the correct size. Pro tip, hold the Shift key when resizing an element to maintain its proportions. When it's the size you want, click the image to apply the changes, and then move it into position. Now it's time to add some text to my mock-up. Select the Text tool and drag over an area to place a text box here. I'll paste in some placeholder text. This is just nonsense text used by designers to represent text content in mock-ups. You can select some of the text and use text controls in Photoshop to create headings. Remember, headings are important visual cues for users. Next I'm going to place my menu bar. Again, I'm using the Text tool to draw a text box and then pasting in some text. I can select the text and make any formatting changes I like with the Text Properties tab tools. With the Move tool selected, I can use the arrow keys to nudge the menu into place. Make sure the menu bar layer is the one selected in the Layers tab when you're trying to move it. The guides are helpful here again for placement. If you double-click on the layer name, you can rename it. This helps keep track of what is what in your image. I want to add a highlight to my menu. Choose New Layer from the menu on the Layers tab. I'm naming it Menu Bar Highlight. Click OK to create. You'll see the new layer appear in my Layers tab. I use the Select tool to select an area on the new layer where I want the highlight to be, and then choose Edit, Fill, and fill it with grey. Unfortunately, the highlight is covering the menu text. This is because layers stack as if you're looking from the top layer down. I can just grab the layer and drag it under the menu bar text layer, and the text is now on top. To indicate this menu item is the current page, I'll also use the Text tools to change the colour of the highlighted text. This is standard user feedback, and people will expect to see this. To quickly finish up this simple mock-up, I'll just add some text on the image and place another image here. These are just using the same techniques we've already seen. Nothing new here. Once we're finished, we can just save our document. This isn't the world's best mock-up. It's just something I threw together quickly to demonstrate using Photoshop to lay out text and images. I hope that was helpful.